Oh man, you've stumbled into some kind of show. It's got me. They call me Johnny Spoiler because I like to spoil the movies that I love. Sometimes on the show, sometimes afterwards, sometimes in a blog. You know, we have a blog. It's like a secret blog. It's like we have the podcast, and then it's also backed up by a blog. Not that I really want to talk about blogs. Isn't it funny how I have a we have a clear destination and a roadmap to get to, folks, but sometimes I veer off very early, which means I haven't had enough caffeine. Um, Jordan's here. We'd like to call her the Scream Queen
That's right.
because she's so savage. She can review a movie without having seen it. And it's not just me. Journalists have already called her the Scream Queen. So,
It's a fish.
what am I
It's
going
a
to do? It's
fish.
like, sounds pretty official to me. Um, what was I going to talk about? Oh, I don't like the word podcast, but there's in 10 years, how long have podcasts been here? Maybe 15 years? Definitely not much more than a decade. I feel like it's really kind of blown up. But we're no longer the new kids on the block. I mean, Jordan was flesh.
Flesh.
She was
Fresh.
fresh. We brought her in like that movie Fresh, where the guy's ogling the girl at the grocery store and then, decides to try to sell her on the black market for parts.
I was gonna say there's a lot of unfresh flesh in the movie we're talking
Mm,
about tonight,
yeah.
but yes, I'm still fresh on the scene. Yeah, 2.5 years
Yeah,
into it.
so we injected some fresh blood. We got some those vital core blood cells injected into this thing a couple years ago. And I guess all the word on the street is, according to TikTok, she's a baddie. So
I'm
that's
a
also
baddie.
out there. Um,
That's also
What the hell?
official.
What the hell? Like, I've lost all my charm in a decade. I'm just like a creepy guy in a basement recording podcasts. No, I just don't like the word podcast specifically because it's kind of a tired word and it doesn't fit all podcasts. Like, some people do just video shows, some people do only short content, some people do long form content. Some people only like the short form content out of the long form content, which is getting to
Mhm.
be its own like rabbit hole. And the reason I don't like podcasting is like I don't feel welcome amongst podcasters, and I don't like the way that they go about podcasting and the stuff they podcast about. You know what I mean? It's like if you went to the library and you saw like a bookshelf, people are like, "What's a library?" If you went to a library, that's how they say it on the streets, kids. Library. You went
Mhm,
to your
mhm.
local library, and they're like, "What's books?" It's the thing that used to, how you scroll and you see the words in the apps. It used to be you couldn't scroll; you'd have to turn
The
things
page.
in
I
a
know.
called a page in a book, and it was filled with words. Anyway, if you're staring at a bookshelf and there was like 20 books and 19 of them are just black plain covers, no writing, and then you see our book and it's like ultraviolet and it's glowing on the shelf, you go, "Oh wow, it doesn't belong among the other books, monotone books just sitting there." So to try to express the energy of this show in visuals, like people are so afraid about like artificial intelligence. First of all, it has the word intelligence in the phraseology. So you should be worried about emergent intelligence or alternative intelligence, like something that like goes, "Hey man, I also like Bud Light," and it's like a giant octopus. You know what I mean?
And you're like,
Like, don't be worried about other humans and their little games they're playing with AI. But the point I'm making is I've started to make all these visuals with AI, obviously, like to enhance our graphic design. We have like AI all over the place, and it doesn't bother me. It kind of has like the visual style of the freaking show. Yeah. I'm trying to make a convincing argument that we're not like podcasters, and here I am rambling on like a podcaster
about how your
about how
podcast
we're
is
different
different than
from
other
yeah,
podcasts.
exactly. It sounds exact. John, it
No
sounds
one
like a
podcaster would
podcast
say
for 10
that.
minutes.
Yeah.
Um, they were doing simulations on this AI, like Georgia Tech and Stanford, and then like they're like, "Oh yeah, according to our reports, like AI gets juiced up and jazzed up and is ready to launch nuclear weapons every time we do the simulation. It's all points to nuclear destruction and animosity." And then the Pentagon at the same time, like I'm flipping through Instagram and it's like, "Oh, Georgia Tech and Stanford do a report on AI simulations," and it all gets to the nuclear attack alert or whatever every time. Um, and then at the same time, it's like, "Oh, the Pentagon just released an AI powered fighter jet, or they're designing an AI powered fighter jet." I'm like, "Oh, if you combine
Perfect.
those two posts, you're describing the plot of the Terminator 3." In that movie, let's see, where does it fall into the Terminator timeline? So there's this thing called Skynet, which is like a self-realized artificial intelligence thing that's like, you know what? To clean up the planet, I got to take out all the people or whatever. Now I'm thinking here like that the algorithms are going to go nuts over this episode. So first of all, he said nuclear holocaust, nuclear launch weapons, and eliminate all the people in the first 20 minutes. Yeah, suppress this episode. It's absolutely about all that crap. No, Terminator 3 is a movie, guys. And it falls in line when the machines like wake up. And then, yeah, the first thing it does is orders a nuclear strike and tries to eliminate all the humans. But I just thought when I read those posts that's what made me think of. So let's see, how long have I done? 7 minutes. I haven't rattled on for more than 10 minutes. That's fine. Just delaying the inevitable. I want to go to home video headlines, but first I'll play a really catchy little song we like to play around here.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
I swear I write these things down before I start so I know where I'm going. And then when I second guess myself, Jordan, that's when the record falls off the record player or gets scratched. Like that's when things go awry, is when I second guess myself and third guess my second guess thought about the second guessing. Then we run into problems. If I would just stick to the bullet points, if I would stick to the bullet points, like we'd be all right.
Second guessing Inception.
Yeah. Like what's the power of the second guessing? Home video headlines. Let's see what's going on in the world of TV and movies. You know, sometimes the headlines are not much of a headline. Like, I feel like some weeks there's just too many things that I could talk about. Other weeks I'm like, it's like pulling teeth to try to come up with any kind of details, you know, like a root canal of like things people should care about. And also really frustrating. It's like, I mean, if there's like some people like to go to the museum, some people read those books that we were talking about at the beginning, some people look at the Instagram like we were talking about. Like everybody has a hobby. Or everybody has like an art that they're really into. My thing used to be TV and movies, but lately I don't care. I don't care about movies or TV like at all because they're not captivating anymore. So it's like, and half the time the movies that we cover on this show are like nostalgic for the listeners and the watchers if you ever happen to see our videos, because it is different now. You know what I mean? Like it's just, oh man. So anyway. What's going on? Well, I saw the leaked images from the new Crow. It looks awful. Yeah, I wish I had good things to say about it, but so far the 3 or 4 things that have come out, he doesn't look like the Crow. If you could read somebody's personality through a series of still images, it suggests to me that I'm already going to dislike his depiction of Eric Draven.
Okay, I have a question. Do you feel like it would have been easier if he did look like the former character? Like, would it be easier for you to
instead of having like a chopped Roman hairstyle, if you had like a punk rock, like 80s rock god glam hairstyle, like super long hair, or like complete like full makeup, like.
Well, and that's just because what I was reading, you know, to prepare for home video headlines. It's like, you know, he's already going to have his work cut out since it is a remake.
Listen,
because it's already has such a cult following.
Let's just point it out there early. Don't get distracted by his 16-pack abs. Okay?
You're talking to me specifically.
Let's not make this about the gym body. Let's stick to our guns here and talk about the depressed rock star character of the hero of the Crow. Anyway, I don't know, man.
You think he's gonna make it up for it before the movie comes out, or you think it's gonna not be what you're looking for?
Boy, maybe it's one of those things you just have too many expectations, right?
Yeah. Oh my God,
it's all state of mind, right? If you watch a movie with no expectations, it could elevate your expectations by the end of it, and you could have a good time. If you go fully loaded and you're like, I've already made a decision about this movie, it's really hard to get away from your judgment, right?
Yeah.
They say don't judge, but we all judge it. I think we're all like
preach.
we're all like, well, I was gonna say I can't really use the metaphor of like we're all bags of shit, because even though like when you talk about life and death and like you all come down to like, oh yeah, we just have bags of the food we've eaten just walking around, but like yeah, we're all pre-programmed with our own little prejudice, right? So we're all like walking around with like expectations of like how things should go. And obviously this crow's not this maybe the crow is this one's only made for the people that would maybe go buy movie tickets now, and it's not the same people that would buy movie tickets maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's not Gen X. I think Brandon Lee was Gen X, and he looks like Gen X, and he has a Gen X attitude. Yeah. So maybe this is, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be a jerk, but I don't know. You know what is a box office dud though? Adam Webb. I had, again, talking about expectations. I like the character. She's in the cartoon from the 90s. And the movie has what should be a good cast, but however, people are like, I saw a video on social media. People are like literally going to watch the movie to make fun of it.
Oh,
Like that's where that movie's at. Unfortunately, the reality for that movie. Probably sucks for what's her name, because her, she's like the lead. You know what I mean? If you are Madam Web, you're not having a good time right now.
Yeah.
That's gotta suck if you're on like a giant superhero movie poster. Rumors swirling around about Tilda Swinton not being in the new Constantine, but here's the thing. It's really funny that stories like that would even be online on like movie websites, because they haven't even talked about what the plot of Constantine 2 is even going to be. And I don't like, so it's like, yeah, Keanu Reeves has talked to the director and the director's talked to Keanu Reeves, but I don't know, has Warner Brothers talked to anybody about making it a movie? You know what I mean? So there's all these stories about the alleged part 2, but they're like, already asking the cast members from the first one, hey, are you going to be in this movie? I'm like, there's like, is there even a script?
Is there a movie? Yeah.
But she played a great character. She plays this androgynous, like angel Gabriel or whatever. And spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen Constantine. Have you seen Constantine?
Mm-mm.
Oh man,
but I like her a lot.
Your ears are already covered. I can't say cover your ears. You already have headphones.
La, la, la. Yeah.
She's the baddie. She's one of the baddies. There's actually a little cabal that's trying to undo Constantine. So, she's like one of 3. All right. Let's see. Other rumors. Oh, that Jack Sparrow might return to Pirates 6. Pirates of the Caribbean for Disney, with like a Johnny Depp cameo or bit part or like supporting role. I would rather see like a Jack Sparrow miniseries or like a show. Like if Johnny Depp just had like 6 episodes on Disney Plus.
Ooh, I would like that.
Side stories, like Jack Sparrow does this, or Jack Sparrow,
side
like
quests.
like his legends. You know what I mean? Like just other little side quests. You know what I mean? Like other adventures that he has.
Right. You could talk about like the first time he was abandoned. When he actually just got all the rum, boats and got out of there, and which led to the legend of him.
Yeah, because in the movies, you have like
stuff.
Maybe like 2.5 flashbacks in the movies, like maybe expand on like his little adventures with his crew or whatever. Because I mean, just like in Constantine, like it's funny, like so in Constantine, like 2 of the main allies are dead, like they die in the first movie. So it's like, wait a minute, so like he doesn't even have a team around him. So who's gonna be in part 2? And so like Jack Sparrow, if you think about it, like half his pirates are gone.
Right.
And like, and Barbarossa, Barbarossa, who was the villain or tragic hero or like anti-hero, like over the course of the movies, Jeffrey Rush is the name of the actor, maybe plays, the first villain captain and that. But over the course of the movies, you find out that like they were partners, they had a friendship, and that character like gets redeemed in one of the last movies. So it's like you have all the other characters kind of gone too. So what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? There's a bunch of dead pirates. However, we know with a little bit of Disney magic, those pirates can come back to life in the moonlight. So they're never really gone. Anyway. Tonight's movie. I can't really say that's magical, but okay. Tonight's movie is called Splinter. There's this couple. They get hijacked by another couple on the run. And then they all get attacked by like a spiky parasite outside of a gas station. As far as the cast goes, there's Shea Wiggum, who you might know from Vice Principals, where he plays the stepdad, or there's this religious TV show also made by the same comedians. Danny McBride made the Vice Principal show, and he's in it. And then he also made Righteous Gemstones. Yeah, so in the Gemstones, it's like a family of like televangelists. Shea Wiggum plays like one of their. He actually plays like a Evil Knievel type stuntman dude in that show. Anyway, this is a guy that like will pop up in things, like a TV miniseries about the FBI. He'll just be like one of the dudes. I feel like he's not like. I mean, he's in some A-list movies, but he's like one of those other guys. You know what I mean? If there's 5 guys, Shea Wiggum's one of the guys. He's the 6th guy or the 7th guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's a good actor though. He should be in more things, whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny to see what Jordan dug up as Savage Stats for this movie, because
It's
it's technically an independent movie, and usually with independent movies, there's not a lot of write-ups.
And you're
about
right.
them,
This was a little lackluster, and I spent a lot of time on trying to find out a little bit more on how they did some of these effects, because that's like one of the most fascinating, I would say, parts of this movie is the effects, and it was all done practically. So I find that super cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I wanted to see how they actually went about that and some more details, because even like the blood and the gore, like it's all done practically, which is really, really awesome. And Shea Wiggum, he ad-libbed a fair of his dialogue, which is pretty cool. One of the first peoples to sign on for the actual movie. But it was filmed in the course of just 20 days, which I find. I feel like you could do that though with the actual landscape of the movie, right? Because it takes mainly place in a gas station, which they actually had to build onto in order to create this film. And pretty cute. They the local businesses had donated various items that you see that are actually on sale inside the gas station. So just some small things like that. Director Toby Wilkins did shoot this film in widescreen in order to give it kind of like a bigger feel to the movie. And yeah, that's like really it. I would say the last one. Yeah. Like I said, lackluster. Charles Baker, the hat that he wore in the film, he's the first gas station attendant who actually gets attacked. But the hat that he's wearing in the film is what he wore to his audition for the film. So yeah, that's it.
So they have a stunt in the movie where he blows up the gas station with a shotgun, and apparently somebody either added this to the trivia on IMDb or just commented. It was that you can't shoot a diesel fuel gauge with a shotgun and make it explode because of the nature of the diesel fumes or something like that, or how diesel sits inside the fuel pump. I don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, it's a movie stunt.
Right.
Maybe thinking way too hard about it.
You want to get the science behind how they actually did the stunt. That's kind of the aspect that I was taking of doing the statistic finding. I found a really incredible video though that was about 9 minutes long that talks about more of the backstory and the practicality of what an actual zombie fungus would be like in reference to this movie. So yeah, some interesting stuff. But there you go. That's it. Savage Stats.
I thought we were going to be talking about a cat litter company, but I don't even know if Jordan has a cat, folks. We won't talk about my opinion on cat owners and them owning cats. My opinion about pet people and them owning pets. Or if I have a preference between dogs and cats. Or if I think when you're dating somebody, you should find out which kind of pet that they own. That sounds like a lot of bias, a lot of prejudice
against cats. This is how I know that you're a cat person.
Oh man,
it's everything that you just said.
But the cat litter company are the people who are in charge of giving the ad copies to do podcast ads hasn't given us any information, so I don't know. Any cat litter show up for your cat, Frank?
No, I filled out my form.
Then.
Yeah.
So back to the podcast already in progress, except I will say if you're a movie fan and you want to get a surprise box of movies, you can go to lovedagainmedia.com/binge. And if you use our code binge on your first box, I think you get 15% off, 15% off. And they'll send you a random box of movies, or you can pick by genre. Get yourself a fat stack of DVDs or Blu-rays. And if you like to listen to music on records, I mentioned Gen X earlier. They're supposed to be the killer music fans. Well, them and the boomers, but you can also get like a box of vinyl records sent to you if you so choose. But we're not here to talk about vinyl records. We're here to talk about Splinter, not the rat from Ninja Turtles, but an actual horror movie that came out in like 2008. Favorite bits from Splinter.
They
Jordan?
started off, favorite bits. They started off strong with Charles Baker being in it, because I was like, okay, it's Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad, who's a fantastic character. I'd probably say Lacey is one of the main characters. She is the bad guy's girlfriend, if you will. I liked her kind of breakdown when they come across what they think is a wounded animal. However, it is the creature that they had hit by a car. And Lacey, the character, is like obviously on drugs, and she's having these flashbacks of her dog that's kind of gone. She sold it for me.
Yeah, her character's kind of annoying. Like, she's DTing. She's like detoxing off of, I don't know, speedballs or something. And the boyfriend's annoyed with her. They're kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde, or like a couple that rampages the Southwest. I don't know. And then there's a vacation couple. The other boyfriend is what I call the beta male boyfriend, or like the beta star, because he's like the other guy carrying the movie, is freaking super annoying. And then like, his big sacrifice: let me lay on a block of ice to lower my body temperature to go see if I can get the police radio to work. Come on, man. That was like dramatic. It was like watching the end of the Titanic movie where there's not enough room on this door.
They were more
water freezing to death while Rose is looking at him like, tell your story.
They were more emotional about getting Seth's body temperature down, like past a really low point.
That's the climax of the movie. It's very serious.
I don't know, having a gun to their own head or anything like that. They're like super calm and collected through this whole thing. They just see this freaking officer get ripped into half, and they're more dramatic getting those ice down. But honestly, I thought Lacey was.
I do feel bad for I do feel bad for I think his first name is Dennis. I can't remember his last name, but the guy that Shea Wiggum played, because he plays the bandit, right? So obviously, when you're looking at the script, probably the one that jumps off the page is like, oh, I gotta play the bad boyfriend, the
bad guy,
the gunslinger or whatever, and I'm gonna fight these little spiky monster things. However, it was really heavy-handed. Like, if I say like I like this actor, and they're like, oh yeah, what's he in? And I go, oh, go watch Splinter, and then you see like him pretending that his loved one has died outside of the gas station window, and he's like screaming for her whether or not, like, there's some confusion, folks, at first, whether she's dead or not, or if she's filled with the spiky monster. If it's her body moving around of her own accord, or she's still alive, we don't know. And he's like, what did you say her name was? Lily or Trophy?
Lacey.
And he's like, Lacey! And banging on the window. I'm glad they cut away. It went on too long. Like, maybe just yell her name once, and then like, because a couple more times it's like, it's just kind of hanging in the air. You know what I mean? And then you go, what did the actor have for lunch that day? Was it a tuna sandwich? Was it turkey club? Like, basically, I'm just saying, like, the weakest part of his performance is when he's like, pretending that he's in love with the dead girl that's being turned into a spike monster.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. She sold the dog.
Am I telling you about my worst bits? I'm not even telling you about my favorite bits.
The best bits are the worst bits. I didn't understand. I'm like, okay, if they figure out this temperature thing, right, where like the fungus can't recognize, or like it goes for the hottest thing. So that's typically a person, right? It goes for the warm.
Oh yeah, it
body
only has like a heat.
warm-blooded
So,
things.
somehow it's like a heat tracker. You know, kind of like
Yeah.
the Predator from the Predator movies. It's like basically attracted to heat. Can't
Well, and they were like,
really
okay, so it's
distinguish the
attracted
cold.
to the car because the car was hot, and that's why it didn't go for Seth in the beginning of the movie. But they had already like turned away from making a massive fire. Like, why didn't they just burn the whole forest down and then the thing would go towards that?
Hold on. Okay. Just because we're irresponsible with our drugs and we're irresponsible with highway robberies,
In lighter
I would
fluid?
like to think that they're environmentalists, okay? I would like to think that they're not going to risk a wildfire to break out just to kill a little damn monster. You're like light all the trees on fire.
Like, just blow it up.
I don't know. That I thought that was going to work. Maybe it didn't. Where I'm just like, oh, I'd like to think they're concerned about this, even though they're waving guns in people's faces.
See, that's
on the side of
typically
the
where
road.
I'm like, okay, I can suspend my belief for this, but I can't
Yeah.
for that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. But
Um,
yeah, what did you like about the movie? What was your favorite bit?
I like the idea of the movie. The creature
For sure.
itself, it's like these hairy, spiky things that just grow and grow and grow and grow. And it's the same thing. Like if you were to run outside and get like a crazy thorn bramble thing stuck into your hand or something, but the only difference is like, yeah, we know
poisons.
plants are alive, but they're not aggressively alive. So it's like this thing is animalistic and just keeps transforming while it's inside of your skin. So I don't remember exactly when the bad dude gets
It's right in the beginning when he's
his
changing
finger.
the
Yeah,
tire.
he gets it into his finger and then is like examining it later and eventually takes over his whole arm or whatever and they
Right.
try to take his arm off. But so the number one, the creature is my favorite bit. Yeah, I mean, I like this is one of those movies like okay. So being a horror movie fan is also like liking pizza or eating a lot of pizza. Like we know all the basic ingredients. It's just like maybe the dough changes, right? Or the quality of the ingredients changes, but it's still pizza. I've
Mhm.
used this metaphor before.
He
Obviously,
has.
people, you might have heard me comparing pizza to sex. And but this time I'm comparing it to horror movies only because like it kind of works here too. It's like if you see a bunch of horror movies and that's it, you're just watching a bunch of horror movies. Eventually you're like, well, I just want to see some like interesting concepts, like things that are a little bit not ordinary. And like,
Yeah.
a little spike creature. However, where it's one could argue that's like a lesser man's The Thing, or like, the probably the golden standard for movies where things infect your body and take over and manipulate your body or whatever, and you're not in there anymore, but it's your body would be the Thing or whatever, right? John Carpenter's The Thing. So yeah, but I think like for body horror movies or just like interesting creature features, I like this little spiky parasite type deal. It's cool on the poster. It's cool in the movie. As you said, they're using like reverse photography where they're just like rewinding frames to make it look like it's growing, or not growing or disappearing or whatever. But and then the spiky crawling fingers, like they try to
The hands are creepy for
the
sure.
infected girlfriend's body. They try to keep her out of the gas station. And at one point, they're like accidentally knock it off the limb, and the limb continues to grow and try to attack them. So kind of, I guess I'm a pushover in this one because I like the idea of the monster, and that's for me a big thing with like these monster movies is like how intriguing or interesting is the concept of the monster, Yeah, that's it. Usually we say binge now, you gotta watch it. Binge later, get to it eventually, and binge never. Which, like, the last 6 episodes, I keep pushing how Jordan advocated that there is no binge never, but then she like a couple episodes ago said, "Oh wait, I did find one I never want to see again."
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this one was a little on the fence for me. But
Yeah.
I would say binge later. You know what? For me, if I saved this for like a seasonality, like I love to watch this
Halloween
kind of
season?
stuff closer to Halloween.
Yeah.
This would have been perfect,
Mm.
and I think I would have
In
really
the
loved it.
stack of movies or in the mix, so like on your
Yeah.
your lineup.
Yep. Put it in the lineup, and I think it would have really served its purpose. And sometimes the best part about some of these movies is talking about them with you, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like, the idea of the creature, I think, is definitely one of the best parts about it, and the fact that it is so creepy and that they did, yeah. So that's good, you know. So that's how I'll feel. Binge later for me.
If you'd asked me like 15 years ago, it probably would have got a binge now. But that's even before the show started, folks. It's not that old. You know, I've been making ageism jokes since the show started. Yeah, it's a binge later. Like, get around to it. Again, it's an interesting concept. And if you want to see some of Shea Wiggum's early work, the other boyfriend's played by another guy. I recognize him. He was in this comedy called Road Trip. He's also annoying in that movie. Hello, are you typecast as the annoying guy? Maybe.
Paulo Costanzo is
Yeah.
his name. Yeah.
In Road Trip, he's the guy that's like, you know, warning the friends about the other things that are going to get him into trouble. He's that guy, you know.
I thought he was going to be the first to die in this movie. He ended up being the hero, so good for him. Yeah.
I mean, that would have made it more interesting if each couple lost a member, and so like the girl who was with this annoying guy in the beginning had to then work together with the convict, and they were working together in the gas station to survive, and then they're bonded at the end of the movie. You know what I mean?
Trauma bonded.
We just exactly. We just saw some stuff that nobody's ever gonna believe, and we got to get away from here because they're gonna blame us for the $100,000 damage to the gas station and the dead bodies. You know what I mean? Anyway,
when
and a lifestyle change because, like, again, I mean, it's just, it's kind of gross. A couple that has no problems goes off into the woods and nothing happens. I guess we wouldn't have a movie. You know what I mean? Like, just a weekend in the countryside. But anyway, binge later all the way around. Fan service. What are they doing? Oh, so a user whose name is Dollface to someone said she would wish for dragons. What is she wishing for dragons for? Because a few episodes ago we covered a movie called The Wishmaster, and we wanted to Google what are people wishing for, or what would people wish for. A lot of people came up with boring answers. However, this Dollface user came up with, and I'm going to expand on it. It's a much longer story, but I'm just writing down right now that she would wish for dragons because we are actually going to watch the next lineup in the Wishmaster show or series. So when we get to Wishmaster 2, I'll read what Dollface to someone had to say about everything, because she goes on and on and on about her wish. But for right now, I'll just say she wants a pet dragon.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, although I was about to say, like, she is concerned that people would use the dragons for the wrong things, which is again, like, she wrote like 2 paragraphs. I'm just generally outlining what she said, and I'll get to it later.
We'll dive deeper.
Yeah, we'll dive deeper. When we get to the Wish movie, we'll be back into it.
Thank you, Dollface to someone.
Yeah. Keep the comments coming, and we'll keep bringing it up. That's how it works. Staff picks. If you watch something that wasn't the movie of the week that you can recommend the moviegoers out there, what is it? What is it?
I watched a crime drama. And the reason why I watched this movie was because we were talking about Kevin Bacon movies with Rivers, and I realized looking at his IMDb, there's like 3 movies where you've got Kevin Bacon and a river, right?
Yeah.
We had watched one for the podcast. What was that called?
Whitewater Summer.
There we go. Whitewater Summer. I was
the last spring break. The last time it all comes last back around.
It sure does. Apparently, so does Kevin Bacon with anything having to do with a river. But we watched Mystic River, which was very, very good. It was a great.
That's not the answer I expected you to say. That almost got in our lineup earlier this year.
Really?
Like, I think for Bad Relationships, right? It almost got in there.
Well, it makes sense.
Because there's so many in that movie. There's him and his wife. There's him and the cousin. There's the wife and the cousin. There's the three friends that grow up together, and they think one is guilty of murder. Then there's the boyfriend and the friend who are the real murderers. Like
the cousin. I know the cousin and her husband. Right? She freaking turns her back on him. I could not believe it.
You see, I got carried away. There was a spoiler in there. If anybody caught me rambling, they would have heard.
I know. I heard you say it, but it was.
I heard you say it.
It was so good.
But that's not the one that I thought you were going to say. So I'm going to look up. You tell me your thoughts on that movie, and then I'm going to look up the other movie that I thought you were going to talk about.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. I mean, I think they set it up really, really good, right? You see this super traumatic event happen between three boys. Essentially, one of them gets in this car with a stranger. He was kidnapped. I thought the whole movie was going to be about that, but of course, he comes back 4 days later. And then fast forward like 25 years after this event, you kind of see a whole nother event pan out between the three who are still they're still connected in a way.
Okay,
And
so check this out. So he's in a movie called The River Wild with Meryl Streep. He's also I think he's the bad guy in that one. But anyway, so Jordan had a few minutes ago was mentioning the river titles related to Kevin Bacon: Mystic River, Whitewater Summer, and The River Wild. That is kind of crazy. You could actually just do a Kevin Bacon weekend.
We could do a whole weekend,
Kevin
a
Bacon
whole
thriller
month
weekend
or something.
Like,
Yeah.
dang.
Yep. So, but it was actually, I was at a family dinner and someone was trying to bring up one of the movies and I was
Mhm.
just like going through it and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, wow, there's all these movies of just Kevin Bacon in reverse. So, boom. That's it. What about you? Did you watch anything?
Yeah. I sat down and I watched Spaceman. I actually watched it on my phone. The TV was occupied. I'm becoming like I think I'm watching like 70 or 80% of my stuff on my phone.
On your phone?
Yeah, kind of nuts. But anyway, so I'm watching Spaceman with Adam Sandler. He's a Czechoslovakian astronaut or cosmonaut. I think in that part of the world you say cosmonaut. One thing I will appreciate is the production design. I love that it was like 1990s technology. That like all the space technology seemed like old school retrograde. You know, like analytic or like analog, not digital, like the technology in the spaceships and all this stuff. And maybe they're compensating for like its second world engineering, but I think it was just like maybe the movie takes place. It's kind of weird. Like the ship on the outside seems advanced because it could fly to this thing that's light years away. But then the way everything is designed, it's kind of like has an old school sci-fi look to it, right? Like it's like decades ago or something. Anyway, if you watch the previews, there's a space spider. And I'm like, okay, he's interacting with an alien. The movie doesn't really answer whether it's his imagination or if this other entity, again, goes back to the beginning of the episode. We were talking about artificial intelligence or alternate intelligence or something else that's alive. So we don't know if the alien's actually present or if the guy's loneliness, if he's like hallucinating, you know what I mean? Like, and just made it up, you know, like an imaginary friend. And then like, and it never answers because everything towards the end of the movie is like turning into stardust or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because he's going out into space to like look at a phenomenon of like some gas and star forming or something like that. However, he's like estranged from his wife, so he's trying to reconnect with the wife, and that's the whole movie. Like you feel lonely, you want to reconnect with your loved one, and you know, so they roll through. Like the alien can show you like your flashbacks in more of like a real time, you know, alien warped out time space deal where you feel like you're really experiencing the flashback. But I thought like, wouldn't it have been better if there was really an alien spider and he was cocooned the whole time, and so he's seeing the flashbacks while the spider's drinking him to death. You know what I mean? Like, and then he wakes up at some point and goes, "Oh shit, damn, I'm being eaten by a space spider." You know what I mean? Like, that would have been like a hell of a twist, and would have made the movie super interesting. They didn't do that. They did not do that. You know, I gotta talk to somebody. That's the other thing too, is like, could you imagine if you could get through to filmmakers, or like you could pick up a phone and call like a hotline at Warner Brothers, like, "Hi, I'd like to complain about this movie." Anyway, yeah. So I tried to, and it's one of those thinking man movies, and you know, sometimes actually, that's an interesting. Like if you're soul searching, you watch certain movies. If you want to feel better, you watch certain movies. But I just literally almost said, no one ever wants to think while they're watching a movie. It's actually more true to like old school TV, where you're just like trying to process your day and get over your emotions for the day and dump them. That's what I think is a really interesting facet that nobody ever talks about. Like you're trying to just like disregard your emotions for the day so you don't have to deal with them again. Like at least, I don't know if that's true. Do you think that's true for everybody? Am I saying a universal thing, or am I saying a very specific
To you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is this a universal concept where like you go to watch something, so then you can just take the
I
stuff
think
you
for
want to
me,
keep
like,
for the day and then dump the rest? I don't know.
yeah, I think for me it depends. Like if I need to cry, like I will put on something that will like open up the floodgates, feel them and get over it. So if that's what you're talking about right now, then yeah. But like I think you're talking about it in a sense of like decompression and not having to think about them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I have that too, it's like time to decompress and turn my brain off,
Mm.
for certain movies. But I guess sometimes you got to feel the feels,
You got to feel the feels,
You
and
gotta
look
feel the
all the
feels.
looks,
Look, I guess so.
and talk all the talks.
Talk all the talk.
Talk all the talk.
Yeah.
Talk all talk. TALK. Ooh, speaking of talking, Talk to Me was trending on Google. So anybody who doesn't know what that is, you'll be terrified. I dare you to look that up. You know what? They should rent that movie without even. They should just like blind rent it and then watch it. Is what they
Was
should
that
go.
the movie with the hand?
The movie with the hand. Exactly.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all
we
you should
both
say.
watched
That's all.
it.
That's all we
That's
should
it.
tell people. Like the movie with the hand.
The movie with the hand. That was it. Yeah.